A terrorist attack in Boston caught everybody by surprise. Wildfires in California, and nobody was prepared. They didn't know what to do. People got separated from their family and their friends. People in Georgia woke up to a chemical plant explosion. They didn't know what to do. What if we go to war? Do you know what you're going to do? Do you know what to expect? Do you think you're going to have advance notice? You need to be prepared. You need to prepare in advance. Get things now before it's too late. Hey folks, my name is John and welcome to MyBunker. Today is episode 3 in a series we're doing on emergency preparedness for in case shit hits the fan, or as we like to call it, SHTF. You don't have to be in any kind of great physical condition or anything like that. You just have to know what to look for and how to act when these things happen. And we're going to go through all that for you, and we're going to help you so you'll know exactly how to be prepared. Commit to the Lord your plans, and He will guide your way. So if you're worried about a foreign army coming in and invading the United States, I want you to rest easy because that is not likely to happen. America has a huge land mass, and we have friendly neighbors to our north and our south. So nobody's going to try to bring in troops and go across the country with it. Additionally, almost 50% of American homes have some kind of firearms, so we have the largest army in the world. What they will try to do, our enemies will target our communication systems and our power grid, because that is our weak point. Nefarious actors are actively trying to take down our communication systems. They use sabotage, they use cyber warfare, and they'll use terrorism if they have to do it. And the whole goal of it all is to interrupt our supply chain, because that is our Achilles heel. Everybody depends on the supply chain. If our supply chain is compromised, it's going to affect a lot of people. Almost half of America relies on some kind of prescription drugs, diabetes, heart medication, things like that. Additionally, if the supply chain goes down, about 20% of Americans are taking antipsychotic drugs, including antidepressants, and who knows how they're going to react when they can't get their medication. Heroin is an epidemic in our country, and believe it or not, their suppliers rely on communications also. Who knows what's going to happen when they can't get what they need? And the bottom line is we all need food. We all got to eat. Even the police and the army have to eat. So that's exactly what you have to be on the lookout for. If there was an invasion during a war, the country unites and everybody tries to help each other. But when supplies are down, in desperation, people will turn on each other. So how do you know if you need to hunker down or should you leave your house, pack up all your stuff and just take off? Well, for one thing, ask yourself why you would be a target. If you live in a wealthy or affluent area, you're going to have a lot of material possessions, and when there's no law to protect you, people are going to come looking for what you got. So you're going to be a prime target. You should either be hiring private security if you can afford it, or thinking about another location. Now, for most people, if you live out in the suburbs and you're removed from the violence, just look at your house. Ask yourself, can you protect this place? Are you safe here? Do you have dogs that'll warn you of approaching danger? Do you have a basement that you can turn into a sort of a mini bunker for a temporary refuge? If you live inside a city, that's where the majority of the problems usually occur. Okay, so if you're living in one of these houses, they're usually brick or concrete, so you're going to have some protection from kind of bullets and things like that. But you really need to know, are there escape routes near you? Can you get to an alley? Can you get to the places you need to get away in the case of an emergency? If there's a parking garage near you, that's an asset. You can go there in case there's some kind of like drone activity or, bombs and things like that. That thick concrete offers a lot of protection. But you need to know, are there train tracks and things like that that you can follow to get out of the area, or trails, something like that off the beaten path? Because you can't rely on the roads. If you're trying to leave the city, everybody's going to be trying to leave at the same time, and the roads are going to be pandemonium. So things you may face if you do bug out. I live in Pennsylvania. So consider there's gangs, militias, and a lot of dogs in Pennsylvania, and they're all spread all over the place. Now, these usually don't bother people, but if they're desperate like everybody else, they're usually pretty well armed and pretty mobile. So you might have to watch out for them. And if you're going hiking through the woods, you don't want to run into any of these people. If you're in the city, there's gangs and stuff like that, and they're going to be trying to get whatever supplies they can get to sustain their own. They're going to be protecting their turf, but they're going to come outside their normal turf. These people are usually very well armed, and they're very aggressive. Now, most people don't think about this, but 60% of American homes own dogs. And most of them are nice dogs, but what happens when they can't feed them? What are they going to do with these dogs? There's tons of dog rescues and shelters all across the state, and they might just turn them loose. You never know. Now, most of these dogs are going to be friendly, or they're just going to go hide somewhere, but not all of them. Some of them will become quite aggressive, and they can be a threat. Weather is an important consideration. You don't want to be bugging out and running through the woods if you don't have to, if you live in Pennsylvania, because our winters are harsh. So if you're going to go someplace, you need to have a specific destination in mind to go to. That's something you need to plan in advance. You can't just go off into the woods and expect to find some cabin that you're going to hunker down in for 2 or 3 weeks or a month or something like that until, law and order is restored, because that's not going to happen. You need a community to survive SHTF. Friends and family are nice and all that stuff, but if they don't live near you, when things go south, they're not going to be able to help you. We recommend groups of between 5 and 10. Like, I know people want to run to their church groups, or maybe they'll run to like their friends at the gun club and stuff like that. But these are big groups, and they require a lot of food. They don't make decisions quickly, and they're just not mobile enough to react to the changing situations that you could face. You need to be able to make immediate decisions and take immediate action. You should be compiling a mental list of people who live in your neighborhood who might be agreeable to, coming together and trying to survive this thing with you. Okay? You don't want to be part of a large crowd. Like I said, they require a lot of food, they don't make decisions quickly, and they don't move quickly enough. 5 to 10 people can carry everything you need, and they can make decisions quickly and react. No one can do everything, but everybody can do something. And you don't have to be an expert, you just have to have a cursory knowledge. It might be good to know somebody who has some cursory knowledge of firearms, or a hunter, somebody who's been able to skin game and get food and stuff like that. People who've been camping are used to the outdoors. They're used to packing light and moving around. It's likely you're going to probably need some kind of first aid, so anybody with any kind of medical background or medical training is useful. Mechanics are great. Like, what are you going to do if your car doesn't start or your bike breaks or something like that? You got to have somebody who can fix that stuff. People with construction backgrounds have a wealth of knowledge. And having somebody who can cook, well, that's just going to make everything a whole lot easier, because if you have decent food, everything else is bearable. Now, a lot of people will consider old people to be a burden and slow them down, but that's not really true. Old people can do a lot of things. If you're somebody who has small kids, they take up a lot of time and a lot of your attention, and you might better help the group by doing some other activities. Old people can keep an eye on the children, they can help prepare food, they can keep things clean, they can do a lot of activities, and that frees up you and frees up your time. You could be out doing lookouts and scavenging for materials and food, gathering firewood, all kinds of stuff, which you wouldn't be able to do if you didn't have these older people around helping out with the kids. So if your area becomes unsafe and you have to pack up and move out, where are you going to go? The first thing you need is an initial meetup point within a mile of your house where you can meet up with your group. It's usually good to have like a cell tower or a water tank or something that can be seen from far away. And you can make that like your regular meeting place. Because if you need to like move out, like it becomes dangerous and you got to go to the next town and you get disconnected from somebody, they'll know to look for a water tank in the next town. So water treatment plants are also another good place because they're in every town and people don't really think to go to them. Just wherever you go, you want to make sure you're near water because you're going to only be able to carry so much with you. I find bridges are pretty attractive locations because there's a lot of them around, they're easy to find, but you can hide yourself under them. They usually have a lot of cover and concealment. So assuming you can't call people on the cell phone and you have to move out from your present location, you got to leave a message for somebody. How do you do it? You can't leave a sticky note. So think about like ways to do that, like paint rocks, red, green, blue, whatever, and you leave them in a conspicuous place or an inconspicuous place so that they come back, they can find that. One thing I think is a good idea is to look around your area and look for abandoned buildings and stuff like that, because they can offer you temporary shelter from the elements, and if they're concrete or something like that, they can offer you a lot of protection. Oh, look, there's John. Say hi, John. So how are you going to get to your bug out location? Well, we would all like to just load up the camper and attach it to the truck and head on down the road, but there is one problem with that. If you're thinking about doing that, that takes time, and about 1,000 other people are having the same idea. So the roads are going to be jam-packed. Before you get on the road, you're going to want to fill up with gas, and the gas stations are going to be mobbed, and they're going to be bone dry. So you might get out of town if you're lucky, but you might be stuck on the side of the road, and you probably won't be able to get back. It's a good idea to plan on just being able to move on foot if you have to. A small group should be able to do that pretty stealthily. Now, it's good to have bikes in case you do hunker down in your house. You know, you can get somewhere quickly if you need to, but be careful what kind of bike you get. Like, this is a beautiful bike, but it's got a special valve on it, and if you leave that attachment, you're screwed. A good used bike might be very helpful to have around. It's important to choose routes that everybody in your group can follow, and also be able to estimate your travel times. If you're walking somewhere, you're going to be moving about 2 to 3 miles per hour. If you're on a bike, you're more like 25 to 30. And if you have kids, don't forget to utilize them. Kids are like pack mules. They can carry a lot more than you think they can, and they have boundless energy. You want to have some things packed in what we call a bug out bag. It's one bag that has everything you need. Because even if you're driving in a car, you might have to abandon it and head out on foot. And you want to have just one bag that you can grab and throw it over your shoulder and head down the trail. It's important to have something like a coffee pot or a coffee cup that's made out of metal that you can cook out of. And coffee is a great thing to have around because it gives you energy and it'll help you curb your appetite. Now, this is me with my bug out bag on my back. This has everything I need for 2 people for 2 days, and it weighs about 30 pounds. So what's in my pack? I have food and water, sleeping bag, tarp and extra blanket, 2 sweatsuits, underwear, coffee pot and cup, toothpaste, toothbrush, toilet paper, a lighter, first aid kit, map and a Sharpie, a wire saw, and a water filter tube, which is made by Sawyer that you can get at Walmart or any kind of camping supply store. It's a good idea to have these emergency meal packages around. You should generally keep about a 1-month supply, which is generally for one person. If you have 4 people, it's going to last you about a week, but they're good to have around. You'll need some kind of protection. I like this wood stick. I think that's probably one of the most useful things you could have. It might be nice to have some pepper spray also, but remember, if you have pepper spray, it's a one-shot and done thing. But that's a good way to keep predators off without attracting attention. Bear spray is also very effective and works on animals as well. I like to have a nice knife. It's not for protection. It works for 100 other things that you might need it for. A map and a magnifying glass, because maps can be very hard to read. Now, I do have a small caliber handgun, and that's a good emergency backup plan, but let's talk about guns. You don't really want to ever use them. They're only for emergencies. The problem with guns is they make a lot of noise and they attract a lot of attention, and you never know what's going to happen. They attract the wrong kind of people. I suggest not using them. A good small caliber pistol is nice if you're trained to use it. But my weapon of choice is always a stick. You can do a lot of damage with one of these. Now remember, this too shall pass. Okay, even in Russia and Ukraine, where their towns got all bombed out and stuff like that, people went back to it. So you're going to be going back to your home. Make sure when you leave it, you try to secure it in a way that when you come back, you still have the stuff that you left there. You know, and approach it cautiously. Don't just go running inside. You never know what you're going to find when you go in there. Like I said, waiting things out at your house, if you can possibly do that, is always your best option. Bugging out, it's a lot of risk. So what you should be doing now to get prepared, the first thing is get your go bag together. You don't want to be running around the house trying to stuff things in a suitcase when danger is approaching your house. The next step is walking. Walking builds endurance, it's good exercise, and it's a good way to explore the area that you live in and get to know what's around you. Okay, you want to know if there's escape routes. You want to know if there's abandoned houses. You want to know what good meeting points are around you. It's a good way to know your area because you don't want to try to figure that stuff out on the fly. Exercise is always good. No matter how old or out of shape you are, you can always improve yourself a little bit and do something a little bit better. Now, one thing I strongly suggest is they call it glamping, okay? It's glamorous camping. When the weather's nice, go out on a stress-free weekend and hang out, and it kind of gets you mentally prepared for what you might need or what you're going to come across. It's a good idea to take your kids with you if you have small kids, just to see how they're going to react to the situation and kind of mentally prepare them and emotionally prepare them for what they might face. Always get the kids involved in activities and stuff like that when you're out on these adventures, because they remember a lot better than we do, and they're very useful if you give them a chance. Think about taking like a Red Cross training program for first aid or something like that. Because not only are you going to learn some basic skills that'll be very useful for you if you need them, but you're going to rub elbows with people who have advanced knowledge and expertise. So there's a ton of really good products out there that you can get for survivalist food. The stuff generally lasts about 25 years. And like I said, I suggest you have about a month's worth on hand. I don't think you need a year's worth, okay? If you need to eat these things for a year, something's wrong. And make sure you get plenty of spices so the food doesn't get boring. All right, folks. Well, thanks for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it and you got something useful out of it. Like I said, we can all stay prepared. We don't have to spend a ton of money. And this series is probably going to continue. I have quite a few more episodes. It all comes from a book I made for my family. So everything that I give you is as well researched as I could possibly make it. And it's all done very sincerely. So if you like it, remember to like and subscribe. If you didn't, just keep scrolling. All right. Take care. Peace out, kids.